Whatever it take, you hear me? Whatever it take. Whatever it take for me to get there, that's what I'm gonna do, you hear me? And if you find yourself being someone who resonate with the many things or different things that I speak to, then it's intended for you, you hear me? I take pride in being one who don't follow crowds, I don't follow trends. I don't follow what the world doing, I find my way to do what I do, and be who I be, and say who I say, and express my life through my life, I say that to say life is a master class, and good, bad, or indifferent, life is a master class, but it's how we process, it's how we perceive the process and how we process the process. But life is a master class where the worst things can happen for the best reasons. But how can the worst things happen for the best reasons if we don't apply the right or the correct way of looking at the things that we will experience? How can the worst things be for the best reasons if we don't know how to fully accept, and fully forgive, then fully release the things that we have already experienced? But life is a master class. But are we going to be students of the life that we have been given, or are we going to be masters with the life that we intend to live? It's up to how we see it, because how we see it determines how it affects us or not. If you don't listen, you're going to miss it. I ain't never followed the crowd, you hear me? I say those things to say, or to ask the question, when do we outgrow the negativity? At what point in your life do you decide that you're zero tolerance for negativity? At what point do your life do you decide you have zero tolerance for toxicity? At what point do you outgrow it? At what point do we outgrow the dysfunction? At what point do you say, I come from dysfunction, I seen dysfunction, so I know what dysfunction look like. So from this point on, we refuse to be a part of dysfunction, to be the dysfunction, or accept dysfunction in my life. At what point do we come to these terms? And all of us come to these terms at different points and different phases in our life. But at what point do we come to it? At what point do we outgrow the things that was intended for us to outgrow it? If you don't listen, you're gonna miss it. At what point do we outgrow the things that was our master teachers, the experiences that was our master teachers? At what point do we outgrow it in ourselves? At what point do we be a vehicle, a helpmate to help it be done in our families, in our communities? At what point? At what point do we outgrow being messy people? At what point do we outgrow being people who live through a habit of being emotionally uncontrollable, or having, or dealing, or moving through life with uncontrolled emotions? At what point are we willing to heal unhealed emotions? At what point? Huh? At what point? At what point do we address any part of ourselves that's standing in the way of becoming the best version of ourselves? At what point? When do we outgrow the part of ourselves that's standing in the way of ourselves, preventing us from growing? Anything that's standing in the way of you being the best version of yourself. What do it take? You know? What do it take? And you can't tell me and to really and fully answer that question. You can't look at yourself according to the self that the person that you see in the mirror. You're gonna have to look at yourself from the inside out. You know? So what do it take? We need to ask ourselves this. The world full of complaints. I see people complaining all the time. You know, I see people complaining all the time. And not that I don't have my challenges, or not that I don't have my issues, you know. Not that I don't have my complaints. Cause if I chose to, I can have a whole lot of them. But you'll never hear me say it to you, and nobody else can tell you that they ever heard me say it to them. I discipline myself to not complain, you know, to deal with what must be dealt with, to confront what must be confronted, to accept the things that I must accept, to change the things I can, you know, use my wisdom to know better the next time. You know, so some of y'all may see a lot of me breaking down the serenity prayer and finding practical application in my life through the way I just shared it with you. Yeah, and I do. It works. You hear me? If you've been through enough, you know something. You know, and if you apply what you know, your wisdom will show you something. You know, become a light, enlightened. You know. I say these things because it wasn't intended for us to grow up, to go backwards. You hear me? It wasn't intended for us to grow up, to go backwards. You know, only to find our way, to find a way to balance the contrast in this dualistic world. You know, in this matrix, until it's no longer needed. You know, but at what point? At what point? What do it take for us to get it? You know, all of us have already created, you know, what it's gonna take for us to get it. All of us have already came through the family dynamics that it's gonna take for us to get it. All of us have already learned through the friend dynamics, or the social dynamics, or the humane dynamics that it's gonna take for us to get it. We already don't had all the training we need. The only thing we're doing now, you know, is either using that training to create something better, or using that training to stay in whatever the worst may be for you. You hear me? That's it. Because there's only it's only two kind of people in the world. Those who doing the work, when it comes to shadow work, self-improvement, inner fitness, whatever you want to call it, it's only two kind of people in the world. Those who doing the work and those who are not. Let's stop playing. Which one are you? That's the question. Which one are you? You know, at what point do we realize what it was all for? At what point do we stop, pause, reflect, and say, aha, I get it now. This is why I went through that at that particular time, you know, to get the particular lessons that I needed from experiencing that at that particular time, you know. So I could see the red flags of it, you know. I'm aware of the frequency of it. I know what it looked like when it tried to appear in my life at another time to test me again. Also, I'm able, to share from what I learned from it by speaking seeds into the lives of those people in my life who are going through the same thing that I already experienced. At what point do we come to these terms? At what point do we come to any kind of terms? Yeah, comprehending these life experiences, comprehending what these life experiences are trying to teach us. Now I get it. How many times have you said, now I get it? And if you ever said, now, damn, I got it now. How many times have you gave thanks for your life force for showing it to you? Matter of fact, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful today. We made it to Friday. You hear me? If you make it to this video, because I should have started it out with some gratitude, but I'm doing it now. If you made it this far in the video, show some gratitude for your life, because life didn't owe you nothing, and the life that you live in really not yours. It's just the stream that you came through to have a physical experience as a spirit. You hear me? At what point do we get it though? At what point do we say, now I get all that life has been preparing me for? Whether you see it as good, bad, or you don't know where you stand in it at what point do you have an understanding? Because it don't matter. It don't matter whether you see it good. It don't matter whether you see it bad or whether you see it indifferent. For you to have a comprehension and an understanding of what it was all about. You hear me? Your feelings is just that. Your feelings. You hear me? But at what point do we say, I may not have liked all that I had to go through? You hear me? But I'm glad I did, because it got me to where I am today. You hear me? It made me who I am today. I know who I am today because of the things that I went through, not due to going through them. You hear me? If you don't listen, you're gonna miss it. At what point do we accept the parts that we played, good, bad, and indifferent, as well as those who played good, bad, and indifferent parts with us? You hear me? Yeah, at what point? Now I get it. Now I understand. Because I'm alive. Because I'm wiser. You hear me? Because I'm more knowledgeable. Because I'm more mentally stronger and emotionally mature. At what point? I'm more intuitive. I understand what discernment is. I know how to feel energies and frequencies. I'm more aware of the spirit that people be moving in, beyond the things that they do or say. At what point? It's all about growth, ain't it? You hear me? But what kind of growth are we really geared towards? Mentally, physically, or spiritually, physically, or a little bit of the both, or the balance of the both? At what point? See, I haven't always looked at things the way I do today. That's enough to let you know I had to go through some things, to grow through some things. You hear me? To know I ain't going backwards. You hear me? But at what point? What is it gonna take for you? It's all about growth. And one thing about growth, or shall I say that what growth taught me, is that part of growing is what you have to outgrow in order for growth to occur. Did y'all catch that? Part of growing is what you have to outgrow in order for growth to occur. I say that to say, being alive comes with feeling alive. You hear me? It's been an enlightening journey, not only for me, but also for you, And today, personally, I done did so much self-work. I done did so much self-improvement. I done did so much attitude checking and so forth and so on when it comes to my inner being and transferring it into what y'all see, what y'all hear, and the energy that's felt externally to I can't afford to get caught up. I can't afford to get dragged into. I can't afford to get entangled with. My mess or yours. If you don't listen, you're gonna miss it. My mess or yours. See, I'll walk away from the bullshit the moment I see it to keep me in the space that I need to be in. Why? Because it's all about growth. Stillness, abundance, love, and light, health, and wholeness. Stillness, abundance, love, and light, health, and wholeness. Stillness and abundance, love, and light, health, and wholeness. Feel good for no reason at all. You hear me? It takes you to do that. Remember, it's only two kind of people in the world at this present point. Whether you call it high or low, it's only those who doing the work, those who healing, and those who not. Which one are you? I love y'all. My name is Saul. Peace to the family, Cosmic Conscious Family and Soul Tribe. Till we do it again. I'm out.